Hello, this is Diego Moya, and in this video I will give a brief history of the web. I will first talk about the Internet, which predates the web. The Internet is basically a network of computers, and by the mid-1960s, ARPANET, which is by the US Department of Defense, started planning and designing a method of sending messages, but split it into different components, different packets, with the packet switching, and that was basically designed for sending basically defense-related contracts. By 1969, there was a four-node network between the University of California, Los Angeles, Stanford Research Institute, University of California, Santa Barbara, and University of Utah, and that was, as I say, commissioned by ARPANET. The primary use for that was to send text-based documents. The actual idea of the email was introduced by 1972 by introducing the @ sign by Ray Tomlinson. And in 1973, there were the first international connections to ARPANET, and there were nodes connecting to London and to Norway. Moving on, by 1982, there was several networks established: BitNet, CSNet, EUNet, SubNet, PACnet, and they were all connected to form what it was now can be called the real Internet. By 1983, TCP/IP becomes a standard transfer protocol. Before that, there would be different protocols to send messages through the Internet, and thanks to the TCP/IP, it's no longer required to know the actual path of the packet, how it needs to be sent from place to place. So you only need to say a destination, and the TCP/IP protocol would figure out what's the path to send the packets to the network. Okay, by 1988, we find the first Internet worm. That means a program that was propagated through the network, through the Internet, and it managed to affect 6,000 out of 60,000 hosts on the Internet, and that brought the network to a standstill at that time. And then in 1989, the Australian component was established. Australia was connected to the Internet by having the ARNet, and that was on the 23rd of June of 1989. And finally, by 1991, the World Wide Web was conceived by Tim Berners-Lee from CERN. He conceived the idea of having documents connected by what was called the hypertext. It's called the hypertext, in which some bits of text are connected to each other. And then in 1993, Mosaic releases the first graphical web browser, and that popularized the Internet from that point on. And it was so popular that in 1994 you found the first spam. That means the first email being sent to a large number of people, and it was just to offer green cards. And more things happened in 1994. You have the first one ad on hotwire.com. That means some graphic that would show an ad for the web. And then Amazon was founded, and many other companies started to be founded and being created that will try to make use of the Internet, what was called the .com companies. In 1995, Netscape goes public and offers a free browser. Netscape browser became very popular, became the most popular browser, and currently Firefox is using the same engine as Netscape. And also in 1995, AltaVista, a search engine, was launched. Before that, it was very difficult to find the Internet. There were a few search engines, but not with wide coverage. They wouldn't crawl much information on the web, so it was very hard to find information. So people would use typically a portal, a web portal like Yahoo was actually a company who offered a web portal. Or a directory in which we list everything that is like a phone book, basically. Everything that could be found on the Internet. If something was not on the Yahoo directory, then it wouldn't be found. Okay, also in 1995, Department of Computing has its own web presence, and I want to show you how it looked like at that time. If you go to the Wayback Machine at archive.org, /web, you can actually try to find many web pages how they were in the past. So let's try with the computing domain at that time, com.mq.edu.au. And it will have several snapshots, and the earliest snapshot is from 1999. So let's see how it looked like at that time. So this is how it looked. This is the department website at that time, and well, cute, isn't it? Okay, right, and then in 1996, Microsoft entered the scene, and they tried to release their own web browser. The browser was started at that time. And well, I also have my own web page at that time, 1996. I'll try to find it on the web machine, but maybe it wasn't that important, so it wasn't well indexed, so I didn't quite find it. Anyway, in 1998, Google was formed in a garage in Menlo Park, California, and eventually they would release their own web search engine that was the most popular. It's currently the most popular web search engine. And well, a milestone in 2001, Contour was offered by the Department of Computing. By year 2000, things start changing gear, I would say. Things start getting changed rapidly. I would say this is a turning point where the web achieves some more maturity, starting with the dot-com bubble, which burst, and many dot-com companies ran out of capital and were acquired or liquidated. And later, 2001, Wikipedia was created, and that forms the idea of collaboratively creating information that can be shared through the internet. In 2002, we have the idea of we popularize people providing information and creating weblogs and creating news. And we have again the idea of collecting all this information by using syndicates, and new syndicates are using the RSS, which stands, I think, for Rich Structure. Let me just check. Rich Site Summary. It's also called really simple syndication, and that will be a way to gather or aggregate all the pieces of news. Also, we find the first social network, Friendster, which was at the point where people start popularizing and trying to connect with each other. And moving on social networks, Facebook is created by 2004, initially only by college students. And then in 2006, Tim Berners-Lee, who created the World Wide Web, proposed the semantic web as an evolution of the web. Somebody called it Web 3.0, in which now there is metadata included, so that computers can have access to the information and try to process and understand the information. And by 2007, we have a new change, a new advance. iPhone releases its own mobile web, becomes mainstream, followed suit by Android in 2008. And well, I will stop here. If you want to know more about the history of the web, you can just do some web searches, of course, and you can look at some additional slides which are going to be available on the YouTube website, or you can watch this video in YouTube, which is a very short video, which is I found it very interesting. And yes, you can play with this archive.org/web, where you can actually try to find some old snapshots of the web pages.